Please exit through the rear door so everyone's commute is faster. Thank you for riding the CTA. Baldy. Our pleasure. Attention. All CPA station buses and rail cars are equipped with security cameras that record all activity for your protection. Any criminal action against a passenger or employee of the CPA will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will lead to imprisonment for up to 10 years. Handbook. Question.
Thank you.
La pata. ¿Verdad?
Yes, I can still see you.
I can just see right now.
Hi. Thank you. So do you. This is the bus. Beautiful. Yeah. Very lovely. Uber for a security card. Information system. They take them out of rotation and then certain goals completely during the day. What's up? How have you been? Well, thank you. I'm trying to keep my days on days. Thank you for calling to reinforce it.
Hello, Adam. How you doing?
Oh, Angela is supposed to come. We're still figuring that out. Yes. We're figuring that out, yes. Okay, the 4th and the 18th of July. And those are cataract surgeries. You'll see better after that. I remember Dad didn't have to get his, it cured a lot of his vision issues right after he got his done. Is there a dog? Interesting. That's lovely. Yeah, well, it's so great to see you. Yes, I'm going out to dinner at my favorite restaurant. We're going to have some goat on belly I'm very excited. So that'll be lovely. But it's so nice to hear from my parents on this Monday. Oh, of course. Yeah, it's just wonderful. I really look forward to that. And you've been able to see me traveling on Western. Is Daddy still there? Daddy. Right? And you want to see how utterly delightful I look today. So I'm wearing the what? No, there's usually a cat or something I put on makeup. I'm wearing the vintage artwork you got me in one of your videos. So that's why yeah. So I'm excited. No, I did not. I did not go to work today at all. That's a day off. I have tomorrow off as well. report and placenta. I take.
Federal action against the passenger.
And then during those 3 days, I explained that women don't just have to give birth; they also have to birth the placenta. So we should probably honor that as well. So I know, but there you are. Here I am. Good. Good job. Playful. You know I'll make you some pasta when I'm done. Yes. I found it. Oh, yeah. Well, Rebecca's very devoted to that. We love her to have a support system. So she's a real treasure, that one. Yes. Well, I've had a lovely weekend. I went to see that concert on Friday, Country Club Bar. And on Sunday, my friends took me to brunch. I went to a festival on Saturday. And then today I'm going to dinner. Marcus took me to dinner. Mark. Yeah. So, yeah, he's taking me to dinner. We're going to go to one of my favorite hotel bars beforehand and have a French Saturday night. Yeah, so that should be nice. And I've got a killer outfit as always. So, yeah, I've had a really great time. I've been making sure everyone thanks you for me. I'm on my way to Mark's. We don't have dinner until 8:45. He's not as well organized as I am. I fear it's his rebellion I fear it's one of his. Yes, I know. Yes, I fear it is. Not being.
Right, we're here. Thank you.
Oh, I can't do that. She will never. Hello.
I found it. No, I literally texted you, and then I edited the text once I found it.
Division.
They were just in the side pocket. I know. I literally thought about it the second I got to the airport. I was like, I really hope I have my keys, and I did zero searching for them. But I have, so don't worry. But, I'm almost home. I gotta throw a bunch of stuff away. I gotta use the bathroom. What if I call you the second I get back? How's your spam? Are you back in bed? Oh, let's take pictures, okay? I love you so much.
All right. And here we are at Western End Division. With the Latino landmark there. Flag. The bus was blocking the way. And we're here at Roberto Clemente High School. I'll just go this way. Roberto Clemente Community Academy. Fun fact, I used to live right across the street over there in a unfinished but furnished basement apartment. It was really a lot of fun hearing the rats in the walls and, you know, the gunshots throughout the day and night outside. So hopefully this will let me in to the event. And we're going to go some of the new candidates coming up. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this a metal detector thing?
Are you recording or filming or?
Yeah, I am.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, just go around, please.
Okay. Thank you. Hello. Here for the event today. Is it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, just go over there? Thank you. So we're going to meet the candidates for the upcoming offices. Are you guys ready for that? Is it okay with you guys? Hello. I registered recently,
Oh, good.
like
What's
within the
your
past half hour.
Oh, okay.
Bill Morton,
Okay, yeah.
MWRD.
Great.
I may have registered earlier, actually.
Did you see your name on here? I don't
Let me see. MWRD. I don't see it here,
So
no.
there's a sign and she right over there.
No problem. Yep.
Every day.
I can take those.
Every day.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
This is
Mhm.
right. We are the party of bureaucratic state. And if bureaucracy is making everyone have a headache, then they're going to go for the other guy. There's a middle way. You can have sensible rules that protect people from predatory practices while also not making people wait.
Okay, Alexander on the end can actually help you then. And you
That's
in.
what I want people up. You're in a city that raised itself 8 feet. Remember back in the 1800s? We're like, hey, we're in a swamp. We better raise the city. And we raised the city 8 feet. That's right. Oftentimes people in the buildings, right? No. It's one of the first subways and elevated train systems in the world. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. And now I can't build a train to 131st Street without it going 2 or 3 times on the red line. What are we doing?
Well, that's going. I mean, that is like that's going to go like $100 million beyond if they finish. Because first of all, how did we not have it all the way? Okay, that's like 40 to 60 block, of course, but still, you know what I mean? It's like we went all the way down to 95th, but we couldn't go down to 135th. So what were those people?
What are those supposed to do?
Exactly. Like for all of these decades.
If you have
what were
any
they supposed
questions,
to
you can
do?
also like.
It's along a highway.
Oh, thank you.
And it's called
But we have it.
Assessor.
Go all
This
the way
one's for
to
what's
Evanston,
new.
Skokie, and
That
Niles.
one's for
But we didn't think
MWRD.
to do it on the
Okay,
other.
great.
And,
Thank
and,
you.
Do you have any
and the
questions?
other end.
So what's this one for? The green?
Board of Review.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. And the Cook County Assessor, right?
it's not.
County Assessor, Board of Review, and then Metropolitan Reclamation.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, it was supposed to start 5 minutes ago. And
Let's just
I
put this down.
still a lot of people that are not here. Trying initially.
Of the candidates.
That's what's on that very end.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, he's the president.
Still so many. But I'm assuming that they have at least messaged Laura or someone saying, hey, I'm running late or something.
There's another, so Elaine downstairs who's reading people in the green room has another one of those sign-in sheets, so I'm not sure if she's communicating if people are calling, but I mean, does anything start on time? That's why we have such a large window.
That's great.
And Alice, the MC, was like looking through all the dialogue and hoping it wouldn't even take as long as, we've allowed plenty of time.
Yeah. And it is, you know what, exactly, traffic is, it's horrible with the highways.
Yes.
And
You
now
can't
they-
get anywhere.
Exactly. And they closed a number,
It's really true. You can't get anywhere.
No.
and they closed more stops.
Sorry, I was like wandering around.
Oh gosh, no worries at all.
How do I get in?
It is kind of like a not very obvious front door.
It'd be good if there was like
Signage.
sign.
We should have done that.
Yeah.
Good
You can
feedback.
still do it. Anyone got tape?
Well, I mean, or at least, have folks been parking in that lot?
They're supposed to, I think candidates are allowed to park in that
Oh, I
lot.
parked on the street back here.
Good.
It's just-
It's
Yeah,
fine after.
Yeah, it just
School
says after
hours.
4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, so am I all set?
So
I will
brought
take this.
these,
You can go have
and
a
then
seat.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, an agenda.
Thank you so much. Is it running a little late or?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to start at 6.
Oh, wow, then I'm earlier than I thought I
You're
would
early.
be. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. What do we got here? Who are you the proxy for?
Commissioner Brady Davis.
Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Bill Morton.
Hi, Bill.
I'm the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Furthest north,
Yeah, I'm
furthest east.
like,
Yeah.
that's, I'm trying to think that you're, did you come just to hang out? Do you live down here? Or?
I don't live down here.
Oh,
I
okay.
used to live across the street.
Oh, really?
So I understand there's some violence issues here, you know,
Yeah, I imagine so.
but my issues are public safety and public health,
Sure.
citywide, countywide, everything. It's pretty horrible,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. Well, okay. I can't wait to hear you answer some questions. And are you going to be on the stage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
Great.
I am not the commissioner.
Yeah.
She has an event tonight that
Oh.
she couldn't. She had already
Who does? Who are you proxy for?
MWRD commissioner.
Oh, then you're going to get one of my questions for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm concerned about the dumping of the biosolids into Lake Michigan when the tanks get full, when the pots get full.
Where's that happening?
Well, that's over. I believe that's over near like Winnetka or something. Like that's where the dumping. But Rogers Park is using those waters too, and we're having a lot of beach closures due to bacteria count.
Yeah.
And I've always been very concerned about that.
Well, you don't have to be concerned. If people are dumping biosolids, it's certainly not us. I mean, that's all regulated by the federal government.
Because I know that when your tanks get full, you're dumping something. The access into Lake Michigan for sure. There's a pipe that goes right into Lake Michigan. So that's what I'm concerned about. Whether it's biosolids proper or if it's stuff that you just couldn't handle that's going into the lake. Yeah.
Are you talking about the CSOs?
I don't know. What are the CSOs? What are they?
Well, I'm asking you about what were the biosolids. So the biosolids.
Well, the biosolids are actually like that dirt that you give away, right? The biosolids, right?
So it's a process, right?
Right, yeah. Okay, let me put this down. Keep talking. Okay.
Yeah, it's a process. It's all all the information on the website,
Yeah.
and there's different levels of it. Some of it is farm
Mhm.
applied. Some of it is put into public works projects. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, Illinois Highway Patrol.
I know on the east side, there's biosolids being put in that park area. That used to be U.S. Steel.
You're kind of jumping all over the place.
I know that.
So
yeah.
I'm trying to just answer the question
Go ahead.
you asked about 2 minutes ago. So we do not dump into Lake Michigan.
Okay.
Whoever's telling you that might be
Okay.
getting confused with something else.
Okay.
But there's no, that's all regulated by the
Hmm.
federal environment.
I'll check my facts. I'll ask again.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I asked if you were talking about the CSO, which is combined sewer overflow, which
That might be it.
the city is responsible for. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Well, good to meet you. Thanks for coming.
I had the impression that it went to your facility over in Skokie or something, and then when your pots for treating it get full, there's nowhere else to go.
No,
That's what I was under the impression of.
That's certainly not the case. So if you go on our website, there are videos that show the treatment process and then talk about the overflow action alerts that happen when there's a really big storm.
That's right.
You know? So in rare cases, there's a number of events that have to happen in order for that to kind of be triggered.
Mhm.
So dumping would be not something.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I spoke with former Commissioner Frank Avila, Senior, the only civil engineer that was on the board, and former President Spiropoulos. I'm friends with her.
Mhm.
I've heard a lot of different things, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So I'm sure they've told you before that the biosolids process is pretty thorough and in depth. It's all regulated by the federal government and the state EPA as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna head down here.
All right. Thank you so much for answering my question. Did you guys get that? Did that work out? Did that make sense? I'm getting the goodies here. Meet Samantha. Samantha Steele. She's unavailable today. I was just speaking with her proxy. Dana a Pointer for Cook County Assessor. And Liz Nicholson for Cook County Board of Review. Fair and predictable property taxes. Let's see. I can't wait to see. And it looks like the turnout is miserable here. I don't want to put anyone down, but this is like, a couple different committeemen. And talking about who our new officials are going to be. Hello.
Hello.
And, I was just told that they're not dumping. Water Reclamation District is not dumping into, and we'll see. I want to get myself front and center.
Oh, sorry, no, never sitting.
Oh, well, then I'll sit next to him. That's okay. Thank you. Good to know. Government's chair.
See, I gave up, right?
Oh.
Sorry.
I know, but you know what?
But constituents are like, no.
Yeah, I understand. That's how that goes.
Okay. Let me know. All right, Adam. Looking forward to
learning more about the candidates today. And this was where we're scheduled to be today. So here we are. Hi. Are you one of the candidates?
No, they're back there. Oh, that's right.
Okay. Are you in this ward?
I am in this ward, but I'm not here as a constituent. I'm here. Yeah, on a different role. That's
Different
what you
role,
do.
okay.
That's what you do when family come. That's what I try to do. I take them to City Hall. We have to see City Hall. Okay, okay.
So we have several different committee people, and we have aldermen, and at least 3 candidates, and one of them has a proxy.
He's probably like in total shock, right? When he visits City.
No, he watches it because of me.
Okay. Más y más loco todos los días.
Yo quiero traer qué pasa.
Oh, yeah, I say eso they started here. It was about those same groups that are doing they ran on Palmer and Central today.
Got a little bit of a late start, but that happens. That's okay. No biggie.
Already.
I'm here.
At least I'm not late.
Yeah, quería que me sentara ahí.
Are you streaming it or just video?
I'm streaming it.
Just being nosy.
What?
I'm just being nosy. I have a candidate.
Okay, I'm Bill.
Hi, Bill. I'm Alan. Sorry to be
Who's your candidate? Okay, yeah, I'm with the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president of the chamber, and
Good to meet you.
yeah, I'm with the IPO as well. So I'm just in the know, but I'd like to know more about the candidates.
And I'd like to know more about you.
Yeah.
I'm my day job.
I'll find out.
Review. I'm the chief clerk of the county board review. So also interested in this one.
Yeah, if you want to review what I've got going on, it's at Bill Morton Chicago on YouTube.
Bill Morton, Chicago.
Yeah.
Bill Moore in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
9 o'clock. I'll look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Alvin. Yep. It's one of my mentors.
Oh, okay.
His first job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he knows you up.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
Get a heads up.
He was trying.
Cool.
At the end of the day,
Let's find out. Okay.
if you're not raising money, stuff like that.
I heard it's good. That's all I know. I heard. It's good to review on it. Okay. Yeah.
So it looks like where I'm sitting, can't get the whole stage in, but that's okay.
Go ahead, see.
I like your hat. Put it down.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
Thank you, everyone.
It's okay if the
I appreciate
timekeeper
your
sits by
visit
you.
tonight.
Yes.
Super excited to welcome everyone here for our
2026 Candidate Forum. My name is Laura Yepez, and I am the committee woman for the First Ward. I am so excited to organize this event. This is an opportunity for constituents to meet the candidates running for critical roles in high school for hosting us in their auditorium. They've been extremely helpful in making sure that we have this event for the community, and their facility is notch. So as a mom of high school teenagers, I really do appreciate everything that the public school system does for our communities. And hopefully you guys have seen all the awesome things that Roberto Clemente is doing here. And if you ever want to host an event here again, I highly recommend it. I also wanted to recognize and thank my colleagues and committee people who are co-hosting tonight's event. We have with me 32nd Ward Alderman and Committee Person Scott Waguespack. We also have here for the 36th Ward, unfortunately, Committeeman Villegas couldn't be here, but Vanessa is here as his proxy. So thank you very much, Vanessa. And we have also from the 27th Ward, Committeeman and Alderman Walter Burnett. Now I'd like to introduce tonight's host and moderator, Alice Howe, Program Manager for the Special Service Area 33. I've been very lucky to have her as a friend and a mentor. And Alice, will you please come onto the stage tonight? She's going to be emceeing tonight's event. So Alice.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, committee people and aldermen, for joining us and helping to ensure that the democratic process is available to everybody in our community. Also, special to 31st Ward Alderman Cardona for joining us as well. So Cook County's Democratic Party will be slating its candidates for the March 2026 primary in July. The party endorses all of the offices that run for the countywide. Tonight we have the opportunity to listen to the questions and answers from 3 of those races that Laura had mentioned. We have the Cook County Board of Review, Cook County Assessor, and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. So tonight's format will be equal time question and answer. Candidates are going to be given 60 seconds to give a quick opening statement. We will then give it to the committee people to ask those questions, and then both of our candidates that are on stage with us right now will have 60 seconds to respond to those. We will then end with a 30-second closing statement from each of our candidates. So we are beginning with the Cook County Board of Review. They currently have 3 equal commissioners representing Cook County districts. The board has the power to review and correct real estate property values and property taxes assessed by the Cook County assessors. There are currently 2 candidates joining us tonight that are running. We have candidate Nicholson and candidate Kasharo joining. I will now give them a moment to introduce themselves. Candidate Nicholson.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Hello, everybody. Hi, and thank you to Roberto Clemente High School and to the committee people here. Thank you so much for having us tonight. I will keep it short and sweet. I know there's a lot of folks here on the roster to come up and speak. My name is Liz Nicholson, and I am running for the Cook County Board of Review in District 2 because I believe the property tax assessment and appeals process should not be a mystery, nor should it be unfair. I have spent my entire, I'm going to age myself here, I've spent my entire 35-year career fighting for people. First, serving as a top aide to Secretary of State Jesse White, which is how I know Alderman Burnett here from many years ago. Then as deputy director at the state agency responsible for administering the unemployment insurance code and employment services to job seekers and most importantly, military veterans. Then I was chief operating officer at the state agency, serving as the operational hub for more than 80 agencies, boards, and commissions. I was also instrumental in leading 2 of the most impactful political efforts in our state's history, securing the supermajority in our Illinois State Senate, and very importantly, as a Democrat, also ensuring that our Illinois State Supreme Court stayed majority Democratic when 2 seats were in serious jeopardy in 2022. This work paved the way for the passage of 3 major pieces of legislation: marriage equality, abortion protections, and most recently, and something I'm proud of to have been part of, the Illinois Workers' Rights Amendment. Now, I want to bring that same commitment to public service, fairness, and predictability to your property tax bill. So thank you for having me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mario. I am born and raised in Cook County. I am an attorney. I currently am a public defender, and I work in the post-conviction and appeal unit for the Public Defender's Office. I've been serving the community my entire legal career, but I also have a plethora of experience in real estate. I've done transactional work. I've handled real estate transactions in every possible way, from titling properties to putting properties in trust. I have handled appeals for various clients. I would like to say that my main intent here is to make a efficient and transparent system for property tax appeals, similar to what Ms. Nicholson said. I think that Cook County could use a breath of fresh air, and I think that the process could be streamlined and use some more modern technologies that have transparency and, again, efficiency to make the process simple for the residents of Cook County and to make it efficient so that way we achieve our results.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to the committeemen and aldermen to ask questions. I'm going to begin with Vanessa, if you have a question to ask.
Thank you. Board, will you accept campaign contribution from property tax appeal attorneys?
I can take that first. That is always a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. The issue of taking money from property tax attorneys. First, I would like to say, since my campaign inception, which was actually in the spring, I have not actively raised from property tax attorneys, but I have raised over just close to $40,000 from friends, family, and organized labor. However, as a longtime political fundraiser in the state of Illinois, and being that I've got a lot of experience in that, I do believe that everyone has the right to participate in the process. And by saying that, what I mean is that I will accept donations from all, any and all, who comply with the Cook County, the current Cook County ethics rules. And currently, as you know, they do cap the amount of property tax attorneys. So yes, as long as they comply with the ethics rules, I will let everybody partake in the fundraising process. Thank you.
Thank you. Similarly to, I think that every person, every citizen of the county deserves the opportunity to have their voice heard. I'm not independently wealthy. I serve the community as a public defender. So for me to run without accepting campaign donations would be a monumental task. It would be uphill. And the fact of the matter is that just because a real estate tax appeal firm decided to give me a campaign contribution does not mean that I would give them any type of seniority or preference. They would have the same voice to be heard as somebody that gave me a $1 check. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll move on to Alderman Waguespack, if you have any.
Hear me? Oh yeah, that's on. My question is related to the backlog of appeals and in some cases reforms. What would you do to make the appeals process more efficient, more equitable? Would you incorporate new technologies or more advanced technologies? It's something that we hear about in government, in city government, and I think in the county every day about new vendors that come on board that provide new technologies. But what would you do, or what have you looked at that you think would improve the situation?
Well, that is a great question, and I do have history with that. When I was the Deputy Director at Department of Employment and Security, we had an enormous backlog of unemployment insurance claims that we had to deal with. And I think the best way to deal with that, and talking about the board review, would be to use better analytics to determine the cause of the backlog, and also to modernize the outreach to the underserved community, which some of the complaints are coming from those that feel that they are not getting their voice heard, they're not getting their anything looked at or reviewed or adjudicated promptly. So I think better analytics, modernizing outreach to those that do have backlog claims. And I do feel that this innovative approach would increase the knowledge and the abilities of the underserved communities to get their claims heard and adjudicated fairly.
I think that's a great question, and I think that in today's day and age with AI and technology, I think that the object is going to be to implement more technology to the process to make not necessarily computers answer each question, but to automate things as much as we possibly can. That being said, I do think the current administration is doing a remarkable job because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of appeals. And I have never seen or heard of a case that did not get closed eventually. It may take longer than, some cases may take longer than others, but eventually everybody gets their day. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up if anyone else has a question. We'll have one more opportunity.
Thank you very much. How much support do you all have? So I know of Liz. She came with slate making and all of those things early on. It seemed like when did you decide to run? And can you tell us how much support you have? And can both of you all tell us how much support you have?
Sure, thank you, Alderman and Committeeman. I decided to run, like I said, back in the early spring, I would say January or February. I really got very serious about this. And I have been reaching out to all of the committeemen and all of the stakeholders in District 2. As you know, it's a big district, and we've got 22 city wards and 8 suburban townships in District 2. And I can tell you that I have been trying to earn the support and I don't want to say right now who is supporting or endorsing me. I think that can wait till it's official on paper. But I have gotten the support of organized labor, many of whom have been friends and supporters of mine for a very long time. And I've also gotten a lot of friends and family support. Again, just under $40,000 that I've raised, and I've worked very hard to raise that money. And I think there's a lot more out there, seeing that I am my career has also been in professional fundraising politically. So I've gotten a lot of really good support also from the committeemen. Again, I think I'll be releasing those names very soon when they're formal. But thank you for that question. And it's a very big district, and I am trying to meet and engage with everybody in the district. Thank you.
Alderman Burnett, that was a great question. So for me, unlike Ms. Nicholson here, I have just begun my process of running for the board of review. But every single person that I have engaged and told that I'm considering running is that that's a wonderful position for you. It's tailor-made. And I said, okay. Commissioner Steele has also in discussions said that she thought it would be a great idea, and thought that I had perfect temperament for the job. I intend to serve the people of the city of Chicago and Cook County for my entire legal career, and I think this is a piece of the puzzle. How much support do I have? I'm going to continue to try to get as much support as I can. This moment, I'm about a week into deciding that I was going to do this. Thank you, though.
Thank you, candidates. And we have one.
Hello, everyone. So I have a quick question. Will you prioritize property tax relief for homeowners over commercial property owners or corporations, and how would you go about doing that?
Thank you, Laura. That's a very good question. And I think a lot of things are under review right now, but certainly we see a lot of shifting to the burden that the homeowners are experiencing right now. And I certainly think that it's something that we would have to take under consideration because we want to have a good economy, but we also don't want the homeowners absorbing the cost of anything that they're already absorbing and already struggling with. So I think there's a fine balance there between commercial and residential. And I think, I'm sure both my other candidate and myself will take that under full review to determine what the best formula is to make sure that we're not putting any undue burdens on residential homeowners that they don't already have. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues that we're facing. So I think it's going to take a lot of work to determine the best course of action for that and to help homeowners stay in their homes.
I think that was a very good question, and I think that we would have to equally support both. I mean, right now we're in a very challenging time for retailers with online purchases at Amazon, and the last thing that the city of Chicago needs is a lot of empty boxes and retailers that are out of business. That's not good for the community. People don't have jobs, but at the same time, residents and people that have residential properties are getting pushed out. They can't afford to live in the city of Chicago, and we don't want to lose residents either. So both of these matters need to be handled delicately, and I have to say that for me, it's literally 50-50. They're both going to have that attention that they deserve. Thank you.
One last thing I did want to say, the big word that I'm hearing from everyone is predictability. And I think that is something that we need to enforce and think about as predictability for both residential and commercial.
Thank you so much, candidates.
Under the assessor position as well, but how could you, member of the Board of Review, assist senior citizens, many of whom sit in a really precarious financial position across the county, and especially seniors whose first language might not be English and who have sort of a long standing history of maybe a concern about government interaction, especially these days?
Sure, I think that's
kind of two different questions.
Sure. I think that's a great question, and I think you're so right on that many of the senior citizens are a little intimidated maybe by the technology, and also if English is not the first language, there's definitely going to be issues with that. So I think one of the biggest things to look at with this whole process is how do we have a good outreach team that is catching those seniors that may feel overwhelmed or maybe a little intimidated, which I'm becoming a senior citizen soon myself, which sometimes it is intimidating with modern technology to know how to navigate things. So I think that's a matter of making sure that the staff is fully prepared, fully well-versed and multilingual, and also able to do a very good outreach and make sure it's a robust outreach effort to these seniors.
Well, Chicago is a city that is a melting pot, and there's certainly a lot of different ethnic backgrounds here, and that is what makes our city so special. I think that if we have good outreach programs, good technology, leaders, things like that, making it simple for people is the number one priority, and that still goes back to technology and efficiency, and I think that I would love to be the one that helps make the next step for our city go in that direction. Thank you.
Any final questions? We will give you each 30 seconds to do a closing statement if you'd like.
Great, okay. Thank you again for having us here. At the Board of Review, every taxpayer deserves a fair shot, not just those with the right lawyer or insider access. Whether you're a senior on a fixed income, as we just talked about, a working family, or a small business owner just trying to survive. they need to know that their cases will be heard and adjudicated fairly. As the lead strategist to Democratic county officials across the country, I know how to get results and I know how to fix broken systems. And personally, as a caregiver and advocate for those impacted by brain injury, including my husband, Jerry Sullivan, who suffers from suspected CTE, I have learned what it means to fight like hell, even when the odds are stacked against you and it seems insurmountable. I am not running for a title. I am running to make this system work for everyone, not just the wealthy and not just the well-connected. And I'd be honored to earn your support. So thank you for having me here today.
If you give me the opportunity to serve this community, I will work tirelessly to do so. Currently, I'm a public defender. Obviously, I'm representing indigent people every single day. I absolutely love the city of Chicago, and I will do anything I can to make Chicago prosperous. And that obviously is going to be difficult. We have difficult times ahead, but all I can say is I will work tirelessly to make this city a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for your time and your dedication to public.
We actually have one more question from the audience. If you wouldn't mind, I'm going to ask both Liz and yes. Hope you guys don't mind, but I want to make sure that we get the questions asked from the audience. So for both of you, do you have thoughts on Maria Pappas' report on how commercial property tax tends to receive lower assessed values in appeals? Is that fair?
That's a very good question. And I think what I would say to that is in this political climate that we are in, I think having a very quick response to that would be difficult. I think it would be something I have seen what was written. And I think it's something that, again, we would have to all take under advisement and really work to see what the true numbers are and what the scenario really is. There's going to be a lot of things that are said along the way during the campaign and during the selection cycle. And I think it's a matter of assessing, along with the right minds in the room, what the actual truth is and what we can do to solve whatever the problems are. And again, I think that article made a lot of good points, but I think it would have to be taken under advisement with the professionals and keeping everything in mind before I would make a decision on that and what the course of action is.
Commercial assessment values are going to be a direct derivative of the rent that is taken in on the commercial property. So we have to be careful and walk a very fine line. We do not want to push businesses out of business. This is a very difficult time for business operators, so we have to be sensitive to their needs to survive. That being said, property values tend to keep going up. So it is going to be difficult to completely slow that down. However, everything boils down to numbers, and we will find a way to make it fair and equitable for everybody that owns property in the city of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we will be welcoming the Cook County Assessor. Candidates.
Yay.
Thank you, candidates, for joining us. We have 5 candidates joining us tonight for the assessor. We have candidate Steele, Candidate Pointer, Candidate Hines, Candidate Fritz Kagi, and Candidate Burris. Thank you for joining us so much. All right, so the primary role of the Cook County Assessor is to determine the fair market value and the subsequent assessed values for all of those Cook County properties. The process is crucial for our county's property tax system, and properties are assessed every 3 years on a rotating basis throughout the county. Their office administers programs that can help residents to reduce their assessed values, such as the homestead exemptions and incentives. We are going to begin with candidate Burris to open the statement. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanisha Burris, and I'm an attorney with nearly 17 years in the property tax field. While my roots are grounded in valuation, I'm currently run the operations of a county agency that reviews and corrects the assessor's assessments. I represent a key stakeholder in the county's property tax reform efforts, and I'm running for Cook County Assessor because I believe that the system is broken, and it starts with the assessor's office. I believe I'm uniquely positioned with my knowledge and expertise to course correct the property tax system by leveraging resources, increasing accuracy of assessments, and understanding that the work of the Cook County Assessor's Office directly impacts people. Property owners should not have to bear the burden of errors, unreasonable increases, and flawed methodologies. According to the incumbent, in a Tribune article posted today, about 237,000 people in Cook County saw their bills go up by at least 25% during the last property tax cycle. Property owners in Cook County deserve change, and they deserve a stable and transparent system. And I believe that I can bring that change to the properties owners deserve in Cook County as the next assessor. And that is why I'm running for this office. Thank you.
And Fritz Kagi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Fritz Kagi. I'm your Cook County Assessor. I grew up on the south side, live in Oak Park. I'm married to a teacher who teaches high school in Hermosa. I've got 3 kids, and I'm really proud to be here with you tonight. The office that I run had a record number of outreach events last year, 217, including 60 in Spanish. We have really led on economic development. Our director of commercial outreach actually used to run the Bucktown Wicker Park Chamber. Eric Harmon, we've done so many signature events like our neighborhood housing forum that we held last week in Chatham, our forum on Latino home ownership, our market investor day. We're really raising the bar on commercial outreach to make our system more fair. We're really proud of our affordable housing work. I wanted to call attention to the fact that the bill that we got passed in 2021 has helped more than 10,000 units be created. A couple of examples not far from here are Greenview Place in the 32nd Ward, Nelson Mandela Apartments in the 1st Ward, West Haven Park Apartments in the 27th, Jackson Manor Apartments in the 28th. These are all knocking in affordability where there was no defense against the effects of gentrification before. And we're so proud that the extension and expansion of the affordable housing bill was done this session in Springfield, really the only thing that Springfield did on it. But what I wanted you to know is that what's our vision is to keep our office fair, ethical, and transparent, to reduce the disparities that still exist, which are still falling too heavily on our homeowners. And let's make our system more predictable to increase investment and lower rates. I'm so proud to say that we worked with President Preckwinkle in the county on a landmark commercial valuation study. It's going to close the biggest disparity in our system, which is the commercial valuation gap, and we embrace 100% of the recommendations. I just want you all to know our property tax system is complicated, but the core problem is not. Over decades, the politically connected created a system where large corporations and big building owners downtown get big tax breaks at the expense of the homeowners. I've been on the right side of these issues with our circuit breaker legislation to provide relief and to make sure the burdens are on homeowners. Thanks.
Thank you, Canada.
Get it under a minute? Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Patrick Hines. I'm a 30-year veteran of the Cook County property tax system. My career began in private appraisal, where I worked researching data that underwrote commercial and industrial appraisals. Then I moved on to the Cook County Assessor's Office, where I worked for over 2 decades. And then after years of serving taxpayers as a tenacious taxpayer advocate, I was a little frustrated with the current administration and their inability to follow the law or assessment best practices. So I quit the Cook County Assessor's Office 6 years short of my pension eligibility date. I took a $30,000 pay cut to go try and defend my community in Lyons Township, where I ran and was elected as the Lyons Township Assessor. For the last 4 years, I've been wildly successful at advocating for my taxpayers. I've returned millions of dollars to my local taxpayers, and I was recently awarded the most outstanding assessment jurisdiction in the state by the Illinois Property Assessment Institute.
Good job.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for allowing us to come and speak this evening, and thank all of you taxpayers and people who are here today. My name is Dana Pointer, and I am currently the Director of Outreach at the Cook County Board of Review for the 3rd District as an analyst. And being that I have both perspectives, that gives me a unique look at what is going on out here, being that I do assessments as well as dealing with the plight of the taxpayers who are complaining about unjustified raises in their assessments and other issues. Also, too, I want to make some changes at the assessor's office to empower the township assessors to be able to send stuff up the chain so that we can make corrections for issues that they know about in their areas, new construction, new issues like that. And also the other thing that I want to do is stop pitting the businesses against the homeowners. We need both to work collectively together to have a productive community and a structured tax base. So I think that's about my minute. Again, my name is Dana Pointer, and thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you, Candace. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. I'm Samantha Steele. I'm the Board Review Commissioner for the 2nd District, which is the district that we're in here this evening. I have so many comments about the questions that you were asking about the Board of Review. If we could talk after, that'd be fantastic. So I have close to 20 years in property tax valuation. I was a county assessor in Indiana. During the last recession that we had, I had personal experience of being able to keep people from losing their property to tax sale. I ran for Board of Review in 2022 and ran on my professional background. Since taking office at the Board of Review, we've been an award International Jurisdiction of the Year in 2023. And I thought I would stay at the Board of Review, but then in January, I was in Springfield for the inauguration and advocating to ask the state legislators to have the assessor actually physically inspect properties, because properties in Cook County have not been inspected since 1997, and that's a maybe in 97. And there is actually no standard manual, so there's no accountability and standards that the assessor has to follow. And I was very disappointed to see that the assessor was there with the circuit breaker program, which is essentially kicking the can down the road again and not fixing the fundamental problem. So that's why I'm running for county assessor. Again, my name is Samantha Steele, and I hope that I can earn your vote for county assessor. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move to our Q&A section. And I will be cutting people off at 60-second.
So what are your plans to simplify the exception application process and to outreach in communities?
So I can start with that. We're first of all proud that when we came into office, seniors had to apply every year for their senior exemption just to prove that they're over 65. And we worked with the General Assembly to get that passed. And that means that today, tens of thousands more seniors have the senior exemption than they did starting in 2019. We think we can go next level and have the senior freeze also automatically renew, because the technology and data exists to do that. So that's part of our legislation that we've been working on to be included in the omnibus in Springfield. We're proud to say the number of standard homeowners exemptions is also up. And we've worked with the county to make sure that the senior freeze threshold rises to be in line with inflation The House and Senate had conflicting versions with that, but our staff was there until the stroke of midnight, working with legislators to get this done. And we're going to work and make sure it's done in the special session.
Thank you. Yeah, if we could go back to candidates.
So the first thing I would do is, by simplifying the process, is make the forms available earlier to property owners. Currently, under the current format, the forms available for the senior freeze don't kind of come up until the end. So making those forms available as soon as they file their taxes so that they have more time to work on them in conjunction with getting help from the township assessors would be a way to streamline that process. Also, doing an assessment, currently there's new legislation for permanently disabled that automatically renews, but veterans with disabilities doesn't automatically renew. So looking at the current exemptions and things that are available and making automatic renewal for things that make sense is a way that you also streamline that process. In addition, leveraging resources as it relates to providing help to property owners, to making sure it's not just about outreach and making sure that people are checking for their exemptions and they have them all together, but making a cohesive process that everyone can follow so that it is more efficient. When we're talking about the legislation that was done down in Springfield, that was done in conjunction with the Board of Review, which I am Chief Deputy Commissioner. And the Board of Review was a key stakeholder in all of the legislation when we're talking about property tax reform. So all of those additional automatic renewals, all those things that were just previously talked about, the Board of Review was a key stakeholder in that legislation as well. So I just wanted to touch upon that point.
So as the Lyons Township Assessor, I'm a taxpayer advocate for the 45,000 taxpayers that live within my jurisdiction. And unlike the county assessor's office, I answer the phone. And as a result, we do thousands of exemption applications, both for people within Lyons Township and without Lyons Township, who do these neighboring townships as well. And one of the things that I've experienced in the 4 years that I've been doing that is that some of these applications get rejected for very ticky-tacky reasons. I worked on one today where a senior had turned 65, which is a great moment. They should already get the homeowner, they already have the homeowner's exemption. They were being rejected for not being able to prove that they lived there. A senior should just be able to prove that they were old enough. Also, we had in 2022 disabled veterans who were cheated out of their full benefit if they own a multifamily unit without any notice. And so I think that kind of stuff is unfair, unreasonable. Also in 2022, the private vendor had lost thousands of the applications. So I'd like to make sure that we have an accounting system to account for how many applications come in and how many applications go out. And those that have a deficiency, we can contact the taxpayer and make them solve it. So that our analysts don't have to touch those exemptions over and over again, which is wasteful, very precious resources.
Thank you.
So being the Director of Outreach for Commissioner Rogers since 2017, one thing that I implemented at the office was a texting service. There are some people who do not have access to laptops or desktops, and everybody pretty much has a cellular phone. So what we do is we would send out messages to let people know when the exemption time was coming up, because at the Board of Review, we do that with closing dates, opening dates, and this has really been a big benefit. We have over 5,000 people who are a part of our texting service, and that continues to expand. Also too, I want to hopefully add some additional staff to some of the township assessors offices and making sure they have all of the data and staff that's needed to help expedite this process and make sure that everyone is being reached.
Thank you. You know, the exemption process it's very important for seniors, specifically, and individual veterans with disabilities. They're not able to always come out into the assessor's office. As Board of Review Commissioner, I realized that, you know, we don't have field offices, the Board of Review, and so we, my district, I started sending my analyst into our government partners, Commissioner Waguespack's office, Alderman Waguespack, Alderman Burnett and Villegas, whenever they have open appeals. And so I would do the same thing, in, ensuring that our, I'm sorry, Alderman Waguespack, Alderman Burnett and Villegas, whenever they have open appeals. And so I would do the same thing, ensuring that our, ensuring that our elderly are able to have access to the services that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another question from the committee? I actually have a question here from the audience. This is for everyone on the panel. This is related to renters, and I don't know how much you guys can impact renters' assistance. What can the assessor's office do for renters? While renters don't pay property taxes directly, they do pay through rent indirectly. Property owners, they benefit from no exemptions or reductions via rent.
So I think the most important tool that we have for renters is the affordable housing bill. And I think that's especially important for all the wards represented here. In an environment where we're seeing gentrification all around us, the affordable housing special assessment program is the single best program that we have to lock in affordability when prices all around us and rents all around us are rising, because the affordable housing special assessment program preserves and incentivizes the construction of new affordable housing where some of the rental housing is tied to local incomes. The program has created 10,000 affordable units. It's locked in affordability all over this community. I mentioned some of the apartment developments that are in place in this ward. I'm really proud to say with the extension of the affordable housing special assessment program, which my office oversees, where we have an executive overseeing it, that's going to allow all sorts of new projects that have been waiting now to be developed. And I think we should push this further down from not only buildings of 7 units or more, but also 2 to 6 flats, so that we can prevent the loss of 2 to 6 flats to purchase and consolidation and help incentivize affordability there too.
If we could start with you, yeah.
Okay. I think that the question is interesting because, especially under this assessor, with the change in the sub-definition of 318, property owners that had multi-unit apartments used to have a 10% level of assessment. Under this assessor, the sub-definition was changed twice. The first time for 35% and above, then it would be a split code. Split code isn't even a classification. And then it went up to 65% because there was such pushback. So where people used to get 10% level assessment for their value, then it became a 10 and a 25%. What that did was it astronomically increased market value for property owners that owned multi-family apartments. That increase was passed on to renters. And there's currently something being considered for 212s as it relates to just making it available for people who are owner occupied for those units. That's going to increase those mom and pop people who maybe started out with smaller units. They moved, they still have their business in the building and they lived above and they were able to move out. And now they're not going to get that same benefit of that 10% level of assessment as well. So it's important to realize that classification directly impacts market value, which directly impacts the pass-through to apartment owners. So it's nice to talk about affordable housing and all of the other different things that will promote investment. But when we're talking about the real impact on people, some of the things that have happened under this assessor as it relates to changing the levels of assessment for multi-unit buildings really impact the bottom line and the pocketbooks of renters in these buildings. And that's important to talk about. Thank you.
So I would like to say that the best affordable housing is naturally occurring affordable housing. And I would agree with what Dimitri had to say. Assessor Keiki changed the 318 assessment overnight without warning, and in my opinion, against our standard laws. I provide affordable housing. I have a 4-unit building in one of the poorer communities in Lyons Township. My rents are about $650 a unit. That would certainly be considered affordable. One of the things that you should consider is that the city of Chicago just tried to do a government program to create affordable housing, and they were spending $750,000 a unit to create that housing. So we need to protect those units, protect those owners, make it more a little easier for them to manage their units. And one of the things that makes building owners insane is the unpredictability of these assessments. So right now, as Demetra had said, there's a plan to overnight change the tax assessments on 212s, which are mixed unit buildings. In these communities, this is every restaurant you go to, every tavern, little shop with a commercial on the first floor, restaurant on the second. Those owners are going to see overnight their assessment double. And that's going to put pressure on those affordable housing units.
Yes, so a lot of good points have been stated so far, and one of the main issues that was spoken about is the changes of these classifications without further notice. The taxing body and the homeowners and business owners need to know about these changes being made. These changes also were not brought in front of the county board, and the county board should have had a chance to analyze these things to see if this was a good idea and what the long-term effects would be. So we have to get away from just doing whatever we do, or whether you need affordable housing. And again, affordable housing, we still have issues with that now today. All right, so that is something that we want to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. I just let my landlord know that I was renewing my lease. My daughter is graduating next year, and so we decided that we're going to stay where we are until she graduates. And he increased my rent by $500 a month for the new lease. That hurts, $500. So as a renter, I know the impact that having unstable assessments affect your pocketbook. And what I introduced myself talking about having predictability. There is no assessment manual. So essentially whoever sits in the assessor's seat at the point in time can change values whenever and however they want. So I am proposing to install a property assessment manual that would give predictability and allow everyone to know how values are calculated before they're just sent out into the ether. So that as a renter, you will know my rent is going to be stable because the taxes are going to be stable.
Thank you. Alderman Waguespack, you have a question?
Appreciate all it. First of all, I'm the assessor running for something, right? And then they get sticker shock, and then they never knew that they owed the money.
I mean, the first thing starts with the property tax bill. And we make people aware of options before their property is sold. So there has to be a mechanism in place, not only after the tax bill, if the tax bill is paid, what does that follow-up look like? Is it another notice? Is it an outreach? How are we providing them with the services? The county has a program where they offer, it's essentially loans, where you'll have your balance cleared, and then upon sale of the property, whatever was owed in that property taxes will be deducted out of that. So there's other mechanisms in place that can help people maintain and stay current as they have this property tax liability. But I will say, Alderman, what it starts first with is that value. What you gotta get right is you gotta get the value right to make sure that people aren't overtaxed and overassessed on property, because once it gets to the bill, there's very few options that are available. You can always go back to get a certificate of error, the assessor's office. I would just wrap up real quick. But that is few and far between, because the assessor is the one assessing it. How often is they're gonna admit that they made an error? So you gotta start with the values, and then you have to do the outreach in order to triage the situation when property tax bills are overdue. There's also proposals to allow payment plans for those tax bills. So instead of having to pay everything up front, you can now make installments in order to get that balance current so that you don't lose your property and potentially lose your equity as well for a sale.
I'm very proud, first of all, of the outreach that we've done with villages around the county. I've sat with my team one-on-one with more than 100 of Cook County's 133 mayors and village managers in the last year, and that has helped us to find more properties that were off the rolls, to tighten our cooperation, to get more building permits coming into the office. And the numbers show it. The Chicago Tribune showed that we are discovering more than double the amount of properties that were omitted annually than either of our predecessor administrations, the Houlihan administration and the Barrios administration. And we can always do better on that. We wish that this could be a magical solution to lower property taxes for everyone, but it's a giant property tax base. What I'd say is technological improvement at the assessor's office is a really big, important part of this, because as the technology platform improves, that allows new tools for properties to be discovered. Lastly, very proud of the outreach that we do with individual elected officials so that we can identify situations like that, Alderman Burnett, when it is a hardship. And lastly, circuit breaker is the #1 important tool that we have to provide relief for homeowners. 29 other states have this as a cornerstone of their property tax system. Illinois should have one too, and prevent people from that unexpected shock of a spike in their tax bill.
Okay, so the reason you're #1 in putting omitted assessments back on the tax rolls is because you're #1 in omitted assessments. And I'm the one that found them and told you about them. I'm the one that was the source of the newspaper article for the Tribune, the $400 million of property. Now you want to take credit for putting them back on the tax rolls. That's an odd logic. Back to the question about people who don't know that they owe money. Every year the Treasurer's Office releases a report of the properties they owe the tax sale. We comb through that data. We keep the information from our taxpayers who filed an appeal or done exemption. We have a lot of taxpayer contact information. We reach out and we contact them. And so we found that some taxpayers who have back taxes, they didn't realize they did it. A lot of condo owners who have 2 bills, one for the unit, one for the garage, forgot to pay for the garage. We've had a few senior citizens who do their online payment for the house that they sold, on the house that they own. So you can reach out for these people. I know that the county assessor's office keeps a lot of data for signs up for email lists.
All right. So first things, as some of the other candidates have said, we have to make sure the assessments are correct. One of the things that I've talked about before, again, is the field checks to increase, making sure that things are not on the tax roll, as Patrick has said. And also, again, adhering to these industry standards to make sure we're looking at each property, no matter where it is, and it's uniform and we're consistent in whatever policies we decide to move forward with. And we have to stop the propaganda with the blame shifting on others. We have to take responsibility for the shortcomings, as Patrick has said, and we have to move forward and correct those things.
Thank you. I do think it's important to let people know that what their assessments are. A lot of individuals, by the time they get their tax bill, it's too late for them to have appealed at the assessor or the board of review level or PTAB. So, getting out to the communities. And this year, after the PAPAS study came out, my staff and I started working on what I'm calling the ward studies, and I will be sending it out to all the aldermen before we make it completely public, where we're looking into the individual wards and seeing where neighborhoods might be beneficial to appeal, where they could be successful if they were to appeal. And so I really think targeting areas and connecting with the taxpayer is the way to go, in addition to making sure the assessment is correct in the first place.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alice. Just continuing on this question of transparency, would you commit to doing an outside review of the assessor's office if you were the assessor? And what specific agencies or groups do you think should undertake such reviews? And it could be for various issues within the assessor's office. For instance, in the city we have a financial analysis office, but we also bring in the inspector general, and we also go to outside agencies to do reviews of, for instance, bond deals. We don't just rely on internal audits. So if you could address that issue, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. So as Cook County Assessor, I think doing a assessment of the current state is going to be imperative. Being part, I'm Chief Deputy Commissioner of the Cook County Board of Review. We are a key stakeholder in the property tax reform group. The county has already engaged in some of these studies as it relates to, the county just came out with a commercial valuation report. One of those recommendations was that the assessor's office should start using tax loads in the same way that the Board of Review was using tax loads in order to make sure that those values were aligned. So there are studies that are going to be done on assessments, there are studies that are done on incentives. So that work is being done currently at the county level under the Office of the President. And the two offices are being engaged in implementing some of those recommendations. But I think it's also important to think about external stakeholders. The Cook County Assessor's Office underutilizes its resources with the township assessors. There's great resources available to make sure that you have your property characteristics correct. There's great resources to make sure that you update your photos and you have other people available in order to provide those services. And under this administration, those tools have not been utilized. So I think outside review is important, and also being a genuine partner in that review and the implementations of those is also important as well. Thank you.
Well, we're really proud that when we came into office at the end of 2018, that we did the first officially authorized sales ratio study that had been done in years, maybe even over a decade. And it highlighted the disparities that were there in residential and commercial assessments. And we're really proud that we've been calling this for years, and that finally the County Property Tax Reform Group for the first time did a county conducted commercial sales ratio study, this is a landmark study. This looked at the last top 1,000 transactions over the last 3 years. Every one of those is a test. Was the assessor's office closer to the mark or the board review closer to the mark? And it showed what we've been saying for years, that our values have been closer to market and that the board review's numbers were too low. In some years, more than 20 or 30% too low, especially on the largest properties. In Chicago, we were at 102 versus a target of 100, whereas the board review was more than 15% below. And that shifted burden on a homeowner. So we think these annual studies are really vital. So we have a course correction. That study that candidate Burris mentioned showed that the board review was incorrectly doing loads because they were using historical tax rates. This is a method that we've been mentioning for years that we should be adopted, and now the study has recommended the adoption of it, and we're ready to cooperate. We've already put forward our proposal on how to do it.
When you produce an assessment that results in $19 billion worth of property tax collection every year, a lot of those studies are done for you. Because as soon as you produce the assessment, it's picked over by every tax appeal attorney that's ever existed. And you also get your assessment ticket reviewed by the Illinois Department of Revenue. That does those sales ratio studies, that checks your level of assessment for industrial, commercial, residential. So I'd be happy to have an outside independent agency review those assessments. But what are you going to do with those results when you get them back? You have to have a talented assessor. You have to have an assessor who understands how assessment best practice should be done. Right when he came into office, Assessor Katie had the IAAO do an audit. It required that they have 50 residential field inspectors. Instead of adding field inspectors, they were reduced in the months and years after that report came out. So it's not enough just to have a study, but you have to have an educated assessor who knows how to put that study into place.
Yes, I agree 100%, and we need an assessor who's going to listen to those outside studies and take those things into consideration and change them into policy. We can have a million different studies done, but if you don't take that information and use it, then it's pointless. So that's one of the things that I feel is definitely important when discussing that. Also, as Patrick said, the International Association of Assessment Officers made several recommendations that were not implemented at the assessor's office, including what Ms. Burns talked about, some of the cap rates and such. So if you have the information, use it.
So as county assessor, I employed the International Association of Assisting Officials to come in whenever I was county assessor. I took their recommendations, I took their courses. I am the only candidate on this panel that holds an assessment administration specialist designation. It's an international designation. The only candidate prepared to implement studies, and the only candidate that is actually already doing studies to prepare for appeals. And so I wholeheartedly accept and would welcome outside comments and feedback audits on the office. I personally know that there needs to be some work done there. We talked about field work, picking up what's the role of the assessor is to gather the assessment role. And if you're not going out and taking that information, which is called field work, then you're not doing your job. The fundamental basics of your job, you're just not doing it. So we need to start from the basics, and I'm gonna listen to the time. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to leave a true 30-second closing statement for everybody. Thank you.
So again, my name is Doris, and I am hoping to earn your support for the next county assessor. I became frustrated by the current assessor, the current administration, working in the property tax field and running the Cook County Board of Review as Chief Deputy Commissioner. And for me, this is personal. Property owners in Cook County deserve accurate assessments. They deserve a knowledgeable assessor that is going to implement changes and listen to individuals as it relates to the impact that the assessment have, not only on their property and their businesses, but on everything that they do. Because the most valuable asset you can have is where you live.
I wanted to close out with a vision for what still needs to be done in reforming our system. Here's our vision: to keep our office fair, ethical, and transparent, not taking any campaign contributions from property tax lawyers. Reduce the disparities that still exist, which fall too heavily on our homeowners. This is the commercial valuation gap. Values for commercial properties are systematically being taken too low by the board review, according to President Preckwinkle's study, and that needs to change. And I've been on the right side of this since I got started. And let's make our system more predictable to increase investment and lower rates. And so we 100% endorse the recommendations of the Preckwinkle report. This system, it's complicated, but the problem is simple. We need to take on that disparity of low commercial valuations because that's coming at the expense of us, homeowners here in the wards.
The incumbent assessor, if you'll notice, has 4 opponents. He came across those opponents honestly by doing a very poor job of being the Cook County assessor. It's time to elect an assessment professional to clean up this office. After 30 years of service inside Cook County's property tax system, I'm uniquely positioned to correct the errors of this office. My name is Patrick Hines. Please support me for Cook County Assessor.
Again, everyone, my name is Dana Pointer, and I am looking for your support as I run for Cook County Assessor. Again, I want to bridge the gap between the county agencies so that we stop a lot of that interfighting and work together to make sure that we are working for the people and making sure these tax bills are accurate. I also want, again, to make sure that the tax bills are predictable and we have the most recent data that we need. Again, I tell most people I am not a politician, but I am a career public servant and I want to serve you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samantha Steele. It's really easy to say you're not taking money from tax appeal attorneys when you've spent $5 million to hold a seat. I don't have $5 million to hold a seat, but I do have close to 20 years of experience in property valuation. I'm at a company that actually trains county assessors across the Midwest. I teach internationally. I have more experience and commitment and a path, a history of proving that an accurate assessments are actually possible. And so again, I'm Samantha Steele, and I would like to ask for your vote for county assessor.
Thank you so much, candidates, again for your time and your dedication to public service. Lastly, we will be welcoming the the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. We have 7 candidates joining us, so a moment to move around.
Okay, I think I switched. Tyler's.
Good evening, everyone. All right. So we have 7 candidates joining us from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. As the agency responsible for storm, water management, and sewage treatment in Cook County, the MWRD plays a crucial role in protecting people and the environment from the effects of climate change. All right, we have 7 candidates joining us. 6. Sorry, I just want to make sure it was like. Okay, so we're going to just move forward with introductions. So we have candidate Burry, candidate Sepulveda, candidate Davis, candidate Janega, candidate Kirkwood, and candidate Pogoszelski. Oh, and okay, and of Davis. Thank you. All right, so if we can begin with our 1-minute opening statements, and then if you could also please confirm if you were running for your 2-year or your 6-year. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carl Camacho. I am a proxy for Commissioner Precious Gray Davis, who is currently serving, currently elected to serve out a remaining 2-year term and is seeking your support, your endorsement for a 6-year term. Yes. So Commissioner Precious Brady Davis was first appointed by Governor J.B. Pritzker to fill a vacancy in the summer of 2023, and more recently in November of 2024 was elected to finish out that term. And as I mentioned, currently seeking a 6-year term. Prior to serving in the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Precious Brady Davis is was served as the Midwest Communication Director for Sierra Club and is currently the Chief Strategy Officer of Senator Halsted and is committed to stormwater management, green infrastructure, and creating equity across all communities in Cook County. Thank you.
No, just if you could introduce yourself as what you're running.
Hi, my name is Sarah Bird. I'm running for the 2-year term for Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I grew up in a house that flooded, and I also grew up in a house with books, and my siblings and I would fight over who got to read the book second that my mom brought in the house. And my dad had a garden outside that he watered, and he tracked how much rain fell into his rain barrel, and the same rain that went into his garden also went into our basement and destroyed all of our books. So I can remember I was having to pull all those books out to dump them, and it also destroyed the foundation of our home, literally, our literal home foundation. I also have been doing environmental work for the last 10 years. I have an environmental law degree and a master's degree in global environmental politics, and I have volunteered and worked for a variety of environmental organizations, including board positions. And so I hope that through this conversation, you'll figure out that you want to support me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. I'm Commissioner Ada Corral Sepulveda, and I was elected in 2020. Thank you all so much for your support in that election. It was during the beginning of the pandemic, and I wouldn't have made it if it weren't for your support, so I appreciate that. Sarah, and like many of our residents all throughout Cook County, I too experienced flooding. I was a new homeowner, a single mom, and I was not ready to spend the thousands of dollars that was required after having to replace all my drywall and things that frankly couldn't be replaced, but also I had to dig a giant hole and replace my sewage pipe. And from that, I turned that terrible experience into an opportunity to find solutions. And I ran prior to being elected to MWRD Commissioner, I was elected to Hanover Park. And so at the local level and at the countywide level, it has been a personal mission of mine to find solutions to provide flood relief to our community members.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Cameron Davis. I am a sitting commissioner of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I'm running 2018. Thank you, committee people, for hosting tonight, especially combining your efforts too. And thank you all for being here tonight. I try to build civic engagement into my kids' worlds every day, and your being here is a great sign of your civic engagement. I put myself through law school at night to become an environmental attorney. And for the past 40 years, I have advocated for our water. I'm the only Public Interest Clean Water Act attorney on the board. President Obama entrusted me with an appointment to manage a $2 billion fund to help save our water. And I'll continue to fight for our water. It's not about me, it's about us, as long as you're willing to support me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us here. I'm running for the 2-year seat for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I used to be a reporter at the Chicago Tribune, and I saw a slow-moving train wreck happening with climate change and with environmental threats coming, and the place that was the obscure body that protected all of us as residents of Cook County was the MWRD. I too have been in the flood. I was in Hurricane Katrina. I saw what happened when governments failed to speak to each other and failed to work for the people that we are supposed to represent. Since then, I've become a professional innovator and educator. I work as an innovation and strategy consultant, and I look for solutions. I hope to have this role to be a communicator with you, a bridge into this board about the things that matter to you, that protect your homes, and to be a colleague of the people that are on this board to represent you and your interests so we get it done in the teamwork that is public government. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow committeemen. My name is Beth McElroy Kirkwood,
and I am running for the 6-year term on the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I was appointed by Governor Pritzker this past December due to Marianne Strauss going to the courts. So it was maybe about a 7-month project to get that position. I was fortunate that Governor Pritzker had the confidence in me to take over the position. I believe in protecting our water, building climate resistance, ensuring that every community has a voice in how we plan for our future. I also am committeeman for Orland Township since December of 21, and I chair Moraine Valley Community College. I just 6 years, and then I just ran in April, and I have been chair, this is my 3rd year being chair of one of the top community colleges in the state of Illinois with a $1.50 million budget. So my leadership skills, I've been a Democrat all my life. With my leadership skills, I feel like I will fit this position perfect. Thank you.
I'm on?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I should begin with, does it matter if I was an MWRD commissioner before? Just kidding. Just trying to lighten everything up, right? It's the end of the night. So my name is Dan Kowazelski, long alphabet soup, Polish last name. And I was indeed a Metropolitan Water Reclamation District Commissioner for 2 years. And one of the reasons why I believe that I still have so much that I want to give is my commitment to public service. One of the things that I've done, whether it's a union organizer for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, working for Treasurer Michael Ferris in civic engagement, working for a state legislator tackling some of the most important issues that we have for the state, has always been to connect people with resources. And our biggest tool for fighting climate change is green infrastructure. A fancy way to say the water that falls from the sky and the water that we flush down the toilet going into the same sewers, try to take that pressure off. And I believe that myself, who's been around the county for 5 years, trying to make sure that people are aware of these opportunities, gives me something that I can really make a difference when it comes to this position. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We will open now to the committeemen and aldermen for their questions.
All right, I'm going to lead this off with a question from a constituent who lives in Rogers Park. And this is a public health issue. They want to know, question for everyone there on the panel, what will you do to no longer dump excess waste, biosolids? With Brady Davis.
Hi, thank you. So currently the biosolids program, all of the biosolids meet federal regulation and state regulation. So there currently isn't any dumping of biosolids into, I think the question said the Lake Michigan. So that is not that's not something currently happening within the operations. I think the number of CSOs has gone down ever since the phase 1 of the McCook project has went on. And I think the MWRD is continuing to meet the challenges and will continue to think of innovative ways to continue to capture more stormwater and reduce CSOs.
Hi, so right now, the place that has the most CSOs coming out of it is Westchester, and MWRD is currently, I mean, that's like the last 6 or 7 of the last combined sewage overflows have come out of that outflow. And the MWRD is currently working on a project for Westchester to increase the capacity of the pumping station. So that situation is going to improve based on the things they're doing right now. I do think that given that, climate change isn't coming, it's here. We need to keep thinking about what's next in terms of how do we make the next rainfall not create the same problem. And I want to echo what Pogo said about green infrastructure. That's the flooding is such a flooding and the system being overwhelmed is
a local issue, and I think the way that you solve that is with a local solution, and that solution is more green space.
Thank you. So there are a lot of terms in our line of work. CSOs, or combined sewer overflows, is what happens when our systems, whether it's the municipal system or the MWRD system, gets overwhelmed, and we have to unfortunately dump our combined sewer and rainwater into our river, or unfortunately into our lake. Now, we have been able to reduce the rate of CSOs tremendously throughout several decades due to our project, the Deep Tunnel Reservoir Project. So TARP is what we also call it. Continuing to develop that project is very important, but also commitment to green infrastructure. We have a lot of really great opportunities to work with municipalities, with wards, in our green infrastructure. And then really quick, the biosolids, that is something that results out of our treatment process, and we have to dispose of them properly. So we're currently working with an engineering firm to evaluate best practices to improve how we dispose of these biosolids, especially considering that there are emerging contaminants such as PFAS. So I hope that clears a little bit of the confusion with the language.
Thank you. We do not at MWRD dump biosolids into Lake Michigan. I want to be very clear about that. I'm not quite sure what the question is supposed to be asking, because there are a lot of things that it could be referring to. Biosolids are the materials that come out of the wastewater treatment process. Why should we care about that? Well, sometimes those biosolids can have contaminants in them. Sometimes those contaminants can do real harm to us. One of the terms that you've just heard is PFAS, P-F-A-S. That's a kind of family of forever chemicals that can create real health problems for our communities, for our kids, and for all of us. One of the things that I'm working on as commissioner with my colleagues, including Commissioner Corral-Sepulveda, Commissioner Brady Davis, is we are working to prevent PFAS from getting into our system in the first place, so it doesn't go back out into the universe and harm all.
One of the reasons why Chicago was keen to reverse the flow to Chicago River in the first place was to keep our wastewater out of the place where we get our drinking water. So the way that we prevent any kind of contaminants from getting into Lake Michigan from our wastewater is by preventing it from getting into the rivers itself. So the combined sewer overflows are an important concept for all of us to be thinking about as neighbors. Our system of sewers blends the stuff that comes out of our houses with the rain that comes down when it rains, right? And in climate change, the warmer air holds more water until it doesn't. So the streets that are the funnel feed into the soda straw that is a city sewer system that feeds into the 5-gallon bucket that is the deep tunnel system. And when that water backs up in the street, it tends to put pressure onto the soda straw system that creates a combined sewer overflow. So the green infrastructure that we can put on the streets that slows that water down before it gets to the street can have a gigantic impact on that.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with my commissioners Ada and Cam of what they said about the disposal of the biosolids. Me being here 6 months onto the board is I'm learning as I go. But another thing in regards to the flooding is through a $52 million investment that we've been doing with the Chicago Public Schools, Chicago Management of Water and Space to Grow, is we're transforming the schoolyards on the south and west side into green infrastructure, which has been a huge success. We're on our 36th one, and I believe we have 5 coming up. We just were in the Austin area in the 28th ward, and the joy and everything with the kids on the playground was just something to see. So I'm pretty proud to be part of that and taking such a strong interest in the flooding program.
I can go? Combined sewer overflows happen to prevent basements from being flooded. When we have epic rainstorms, and we have more and more of them, the first key is for us to have places for that water to go to. That's why green infrastructure is important. So that water doesn't overwhelm the sewers, so that water stays where it's at. Now, the Water Reclamation District opens up a grant process. Anyone can come and ask to be a partner with us. However, in Cook County, where you have 3 different mosquito abatement districts, as I know Alderman Waguespack likes to quote Dick Simpson on, where in the Water Reclamation District, you have 129 municipalities, with one of them being the city of Chicago with 50 wards. How are you going to let these disadvantaged areas know about these opportunities? In addition to all these things, one of the things that I'm proud of is about traveling everywhere so that organizations and people that are typically overlooked have access to these resources and know that they can do these partnerships. Thank you.
You'll jump in? Okay. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, because I think running for countywide office is one of the hardest things you can do. You're going to be here, then you'll be far south, far north. You put a lot of mileage on your cars too, so hopefully your spouses are okay with that. Well, I've also been a victim of flooding, wiping out an entire house years ago. And, you know, as an alderman, I know there's 3 or 4 of us here. I think Alderman Espada was here too.
You just had to leave, sorry.
Okay. Well, we kind of have a love-hate relationship with rain. We love it because it kind of comes in, cleanses the city, and we're like, all right, it makes it easier for the street sweepers and getting the streets cleaned off. But we also hate it because the next morning we get all the phone calls for every house that's flooded, every backed up sewer, you know, anything that has anything to do with water flow in the city, it kind of comes. And, you know, when we're getting calls about everything that goes into the river, who's supposed to clean that up? And that's another issue, but if you want to touch on that, you can. My question is, if you want to dive into it a little bit more, and I've heard a couple of good points about green infrastructure and the work that you're doing, but what would you say to the city, either to the city council, to the mayor, and the departments that manage the green infrastructure in the city, and what we're doing, that we need to do with MWRD more specifically to prepare for the future and to fix this issue of the concrete jungle we live in? Long question. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Again, my name is Carl. I'm representing MWRD, Commissioner Precious Brady Davis. If the debris is in the waterway, our stream maintenance program can get it. But if it's on the embankment, that's a local issue. So as a staffer for 9 years, I've
We don't kick it in the water.
if it's in the water, we'll pick it up. We need the work. That's that. What I would say as a staffer for 3 commissioners is that, you know, 127 municipalities, and we can only manage the water that we get. So each municipality has to make a dedicated investment into local infrastructure, and specifically with the green alleys on the city side, I've worked with the 10th ward and several other ward staffers. Your applications are funneled through CDOT, and then CDOT makes then a ranking system. So even though it might be the worst alley in your ward, it might not be the 20th worst alley in the city. So sadly, that's, you know, there's only a limited pot of money. So I would say more money to stormwater projects, and also making the investment into the maintenance equipment to then take care of that investment.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Burry. I mentioned earlier that I have a master's degree in global environmental politics, and the number one thing I learned with getting that degree is that you have to meet communities where they are and have a conversation with them instead of about them or to them. So I think it would be a mistake to decide ahead of time before talking to communities exactly what is good for them. So I think I would want to have an extensive conversation in the places where the flooding was happening with the folks who live there and not just stop after that, because we need to keep having that conversation. We need to know if the measures start to work. We need to know if there needs to be adjustments or if they're having some kind of problem. I talked to someone who lives in the southern suburbs, and the quarries may be great for stormwater management, although that's not great infrastructure, but like her windows were exploding. So like we need to keep talking to communities, and I think that's where we find these answers.
Partnership. The partnership that we have with the city of Chicago and all of our municipalities is so important. And as we move forward, for me, I'm really proud of one of the projects that I wanted to do is focus on workforce development, for example. And I reached out to our local city college, Wright College, which is in the neighborhood around this area, and said, let's work on a pilot study. They have a wonderful program where they are an engineering pathway program where they're preparing students here in Chicago, their talent. And when we have an educated community, to your point, you want to engage community and having an understanding of these issues that impact us, making sure that our students are prepared for the work of tomorrow and the needs of tomorrow. And infrastructure is such a significant need. Engineering jobs are very well-paid jobs in STEM. So that's something that I would like to continue to do, build partnerships. In addition to that, the grants, and then water reuse. We have a wonderful opportunity to protect our greatest asset in the region, and that is our drinking water from Lake Michigan. And while we do not dive into drinking water specifically, we do have the opportunity to work in partnership with the municipality. Now that one's a real new one, so keep your eyes tuned for it. We have a new chapter, the Illinois water reuse chapter.
Hey everybody, Cam Davis again. Thanks for the question, Committeeman Waguespack. Green infrastructure is a term you've heard a lot about tonight, and basically what's happened is we've paved over, we've hardened our landscape around the county. Whereas our landscape is it can be a form of infrastructure. It's like a sponge, it can soak up floodwater. If we do what we need to continue to fund projects, we need to scope them, we need to prioritize them. One of my priorities has been to provide more funding, more effort towards some of our underserved, overburdened communities. And in fact, wrote into our law for the very first time ever a recognition of disproportionately impacted areas. It is a big county, but we have to treat our waterways organically and holistically, because what can happen in the suburbs can impact what happens in the cities and vice versa. So by having that bird's eye view, it can really help. Last thing, pollution incidents you asked about. If people see them, they can call 312-787-3575. And there's also a reporting function on the website as well.
Yeah, it's such a great question. Any one of these kind of rain events can overwhelm any one of our systems and any one of our budgets and all of our emotions, right? So good government is a team sport. I think you've heard that from the other people up here on this panel. What we can do at the MWRD, or what the MWR can do with you, is identify those areas where we have repeated flooding events, where we know that the infrastructure is overwhelmed, because sometimes it's the straw, not the funnel. One of the things we can do is work with the pot of money that the MWRD has to fund green infrastructure. That can be bioswales, that can be retention ponds, that can be native plantings, that can be permeable water pavement to slow that water down. One of them that we can encourage you to do as an alderman is, when you're working with new developers, is to encourage them to include that as part of their design, so that that water slowed down before it exists.
Thank you. Beth McElroy, Kirkwood. I just want to address this question too. I think one thing that is important is the whole partnership program, and that's what I saw last week when we were at Spencer Academy in the Austin area. where we all came together, open lands, space to grow, Chicago Public Schools, the Department of Water Management, where we all came together and put those schoolyards into safe spaces for the children to kind of grow and play and learn. And even in the back, they even had like a garden, so the kids were kind of, you know, doing a little bit of science. But I feel like something like that is that we're building more than a green infrastructure. We're investing in the children, the youth of the city of Chicago. And I think that that's important for their future, that we have to look to that. Also, I think is open communication. And I feel like I saw that when we all kind of came together at Spencer Academy.
I have been chomping at the bit to answer this question. I'm like, oh Lord, singing my jam. So, what is concrete good at keeping out? Water. Now, this is not talking about something that will take new money that's to be spent. It reflects the fact that in the city of Chicago, the Department of Transportation and the Water Department have very different philosophies. The Department of Transportation would like to pave everything. Example A, look at the Milwaukee Avenue bike lanes. Look at, for example, the Chicago Avenue bike lanes. If you're talking about other areas, there's concrete everywhere. And why do I bring that up? Because that concrete cannot absorb water. And so one of the reasons why I'm so taken with this question is because of the fact that with the aldermen, with other constituents, making them aware that it doesn't have to be an and or question. You can have where you build this new infrastructure and you don't use concrete, where you do what they've done in other cities all across the United States and across the world. Have it where that new infrastructure that you build isn't concrete, that it absorbs the water where it falls. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Do we have another question?
So first of all, thank you all. I know it's only a few seats. I know we have several incumbents. It seems like it's a couple of you all running for the same spot. There may be one out as far as the incumbents go, which is very unfortunate that you all find yourselves in that position. We've been here before with some remaps happened years ago. But I just wanted to ask, so all of you all that are currently on the Water Reclamation District Board, you work with the president. So I want to know, do you work with the president? And for the ones who aren't there, will you work with the current president, Kerry Steele, when you get on the board?
Thank you, Alderman. Again, my name is Carl Camacho, representing Deputy Commissioner Precious Brea Davis. We are more than happy and have worked with President Steele's office and look forward to the continued partnership to make sure that we advance the goals of the district and collaborate with partners throughout.
Hi, thank you for that question, Sarah Burry. I just want to reiterate that James and I are the only ones going for the 2-year slot right now. And so I know it can be confusing for people in general. So I believe in collaborative leadership. And part of what I was going to say at the end of the last question was that we don't need to rebuild the wheel. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, that's the word. And there are structures, organizational structures that already exist. And I think I'm happy to work with anyone who wants to work with these issues and addressing issues of flooding and protecting the environment. So absolutely, her motto is about water, so I imagine I'd have no problem with that.
One of my favorite, my daughter's favorite sayings is teamwork makes the dream work. And the reason why it's her favorite is because I've been saying it a lot. The reason I say it a lot is because President Jerry Steele says it all the time. And that kind of philosophy, I think, is really important in leadership. All of us are elected countywide as commissioners all throughout the region, but the president, the vice president, and the chairman of finance are elected by us as commissioners. And so I think it speaks highly of who we select as the president. I've been very proud to have now voted for her twice to be president. And as the first Latina elected to the MWRD, it's really important for me to have that leadership represented, not only because as a woman and as a community of underrepresented individuals, we offer a perspective, but also because she's a chemist and she's the only and first chemist elected to the district. And that type of professional perspective is very important to the work that we do.
Thank you for the question, Committeeman Burnett. I've been proud to support President Steele the last couple of times that she has run. I do work with her. It's not to say we don't have constructive disagreements. We all do. I have constructive disagreements with myself almost every day. One of the things that I really admire about her is her dedication to STEM, that is education for future generations. And we have done, one of the things that I think we're all looking for, and I know I try to do this every day, is look for investments that will have a variety of benefits, not just one benefit. And so whenever we undertake a project, if we can bring an education element to it so that we're helping the next generation understand what they need to get ready to do, we're doing our jobs.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Burnett. I'm proud to say that as a community organizer, political organizer in the neighborhood 47th Ward, I've proudly supported everybody that's up here on this stage, except for Sarah yet. Although I'm proud to run with you. I think everybody brings a lot to this. I have supported President Steele in her reelection. I find that she brings a lot of discipline and grace to that leadership. There is constructive disagreement. I've heard behind the scenes in the board that does not come out as often in public. What does come out often in public, I find, is that there's committed progress for every corner of our county, and I think that her leadership has a lot to do with that.
Thank you, Beth McElroy Kirkwood. I think through my leadership in the other positions that I have, that I know what a good leader is. Carrie Steele is a leader. She's outstanding, and I support her in everything that she does. I mean, because we discuss it, and that's how I do it. My Moraine Valley board is I'm chair. We discuss it, we collaborate, we work together, talk about fiscal responsibility, talk about budgeting, talk about leadership, and for me, I feel like I'm a team player, and I'm proud to say that I'm a team player, and I feel like I will be an asset to the ticket too, to continue working with Carrie Steele and moving forward for clean water and infrastructure and the safety of our youth in Cook County and the whole region of Cook County too. So thank you.
I have always been on Team Carrie and will be. As you could say, commissioners, aspiring or current, have all said, Carrie Steele has had a long and distinguished career as president of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. These are not cheap words for me. I have a record. And while I was commissioner, as brief as it was, always was 100% with Carrie. Thank you.
Okay, Carrie, your hand.
Do we have any final questions? Okay, so we will pass it on to you to give a 30-second closing statement if you would like to share one.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Carl Camacho, representing MWRD Commissioner Precious Brady Davis. We thank you for your time and encourage you to support our campaign and endorse Commissioner Precious Brady Davis for the 6-year term as the only Black trans woman elected and appointed to public office. Equity, inclusion, and environmental justice is at the core of her vision, and as her chief of staff, I am proud to serve in her office to lead that effort.
Hi, Sarah Berry. I used to be a teacher, and I taught college students who weren't quite ready for college courses, and they would have adult problems, and they would come to me with those problems, and it was things like, oh, I got a ticket, or my kids are gonna get taken away or something, and they would do what they're supposed to do, and they would look up the law, and they still didn't understand it. So I realized there's a translation issue there, and I looked around, I didn't know any lawyers, so I went and became one, and in the same way, I would continue to act in a way to serve the community. So I hope that I can earn your support.
Well, thank you all for listening to all of us. You clearly have very passionate individuals on what we do, stormwater management and waste treatment. And for me, this is work that I really enjoy, and I believe in being a part of the community. So being grassroots is a big part of my leadership style. It's why I'm on the ground and creating opportunities for us to be able to connect with community. I am running for the 6-year term, and I hope to have your support in being reelected and continue to be MWRD Commissioner. Thank you. Commissioner Correll Sepulveda.
Cam Davis, and I know we only had a certain amount of time up here with you all tonight. You can learn more about what I stand for at camdavis.org. It's a very easy website you can go to. But I do want to say this, and this is really important. I'm asking for your support, not for me, but because the moment that we are in right now with the Trump administration, cutting back our public health protections, our environmental protections, means that we have a lot more work to do. And it means that we have to do more with less. Because cuts are coming, because challenges are coming to staff and human. I think we all know this. And so having folks on your side who know how to advocate and to fight, like I have done for 40 years for all of us, is something that I encourage you to give a lot of thought to, because this is no ordinary time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cam. When I wanted to run for this, it was because I saw an environmental and a climate issue that we still had time to address. Right now, I think this is a resilience issue that we all have to face as a reality of our life right now. What doesn't make this easier is that a lot of our partners at the federal government level are being eliminated from their jobs, which puts more of an impetus on us in local government, on the commissioners and aspiring commissioners that are on this board, to be that voice for you, to communicate with you, and to communicate with one another to make sure that we get these priorities accomplished.
Thank you. Beth McElroy, Kirkwood, and I'm from the Orland Park area, so this was a little bit different coming out here. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for having us. Me, as running for the 6-year term, appointed by the governor, I just want to continue to strive my experienced leadership to tackle flooding, continue with protecting the water, and investing in our green infrastructure. I feel like I'll be an asset to the ticket. And I want to continue working with President Kerry Steele, who's an outstanding leader. I'm running to serve, to listen, and to lead, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you.
MWRD should not be a side hustle. Stakes are too great. I'm proud to say that as MWRD Commissioner, it was the only job that I had, and I'd like to go even further. There's 5.25 million people that live in Cook County. If I were to earn your support and be an MWRD Commissioner again, I promise to leave no stone unturned and to continue to connect with the most overlooked and under-resourced communities as I did during my 2-year term. Thank you.
Thank you so much, candidates. Again, thank you for your time and your commitment to climate change and protecting our environment. And thank you, Committeeman Assessor.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you to the panelists. I know it takes a lot to come out to these events, so I appreciate your time and speaking to the constituents. Just so everyone knows, we are taping the event tonight, and we will be sharing it out with all the committee men so they can post it onto their websites. And we'll be sharing it out as well with you guys so that you can post it onto yours. So again, I want to give a special shout out to Roberto Clemente High School for hosting us this evening. I also want to thank all the amazing volunteers who helped out to organize this event. And also the Young Dems of Chicago. Thank you guys so much. So that concludes our candidate forum. Thank you all for coming out and enjoy your night. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Great question, Trudy. I'm not sure about all that. You know, Trudy, I wish you were here right now. This is your jam.
It looked like a frozen.
You can go ahead.
I'm looking for him. No, he said he's back.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. It's been a trip. I'm going to get out of here. And appreciate you watching.